No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at round one of this year's Formula One World Championship. We go racing today then in the state of Victoria, where the drivers have 16 corners and 3.3 miles to navigate at an average lap speed of around 120 miles an hour. The close proximity of the barriers makes accidents inevitable, and recent history shows us that a safety car is not at all out of the question. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Anthony Davidson. Thanks for joining us, Ant. And tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, Alexander Albon, and Vettel, Ricciardo, Perez, Ocon, and Carlos Sainz. Gasly, Raikkonen, Kevin Magnussen, and Giovinazzi. Norris, Grosjean, Lance Stroll, and Daniel Kvyat, Russell, and Nicholas Latifi. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Here we go, revving up to 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go. And Hamilton gets a strong start. Max Verstappen gets a flyer! Down into turn 1, he's into the lead of the race. He's overtaken Lewis Hamilton there. Sorry, no, that's Valtteri Bottas, I believe, in P2 right now. Verstappen's already pulled a massive gap on the 2 cars behind. Well, massive being about half a second now. Coming into turn 3. And Verstappen continues to hold that lead very well. What will the race pace of the Red Bull be like in qualifying? He did qualify down in P3. It looks like the race pace is going to be even better at the moment. Well, Bottas is hunting him down a little bit now. That Mercedes is a fast car. Bit of a camera glitch there, sorry. Now we see Verstappen continues to lead the race from Bottas, Hamilton, Leclerc, then we go on board with Albon, Vettel, then Ricciardo doing a good job, best of the rest there, as we're scrolling through the rest of the grid here. Verstappen continues to hold the lead, coming to the Sector 3, Sector 3, sorry. Final 3 corners, Verstappen continues to lead. He's pulling away in these low-speed corners, but it's the high-speed parts that he should be worried about. And now, here they go, onto the straight. They are not close enough. Of course, Verstappen does have that overtake button he can use, and it's going to be stronger than ever here in 2020. Max holding that lead brilliantly as he is managing that gap to Bottas very well. As you can see, Albon staying in front of Vettel quite well there. Ricciardo still holding best of the rest. Ocon just about in front of Pierre Gasly, who's in front of Perez, Sainz, Kvyat, and we are continuing to go down the grid here. And Norris has made a pit stop. It does look like he might have broken his front wing on lap 1. And he's going onto the mediums. I believe he is going to the end on that set. Unless he might have to make one more stop, but he's going to be trying to come through the field. Either way, back on board with Max Verstappen, holding the lead pretty well. Bottas has caught right up now to the young Dutchman. Hamilton is dropping off, though, it has to be said, as is Charles Leclerc in that underperforming Ferrari. They were certainly expecting a lot more from 2020. But Red Bull, very impressed with Verstappen at the moment, being in P1. As he loses the back end there through the second last corner, that's going to make him vulnerable on the straight. Here comes Valtteri Bottas. He doesn't have DRS, but he's going to have that slipstream. Here he goes for it, side by side, the Mercedes versus Red Bull, in a straight line, on board with Max Verstappen. Who's going to be later on the brakes? It looks like Verstappen just about holds it through turn 1 and turn 2, but Bottas is going to have that slipstream coming into turn 3. It's going to be enough. Bottas goes to the outside first, Verstappen defends brilliantly there. He's dealing with the pressure very well in this opening round of 2020. Looks like Red Bull will actually be a championship contender this year based off their speed in their car right now. On board with Bottas now. He's just about behind. Norris still down in last. Obviously, as he's the only one to have made a stop in this race. And the top four have pulled a nice gap to Albon there, who's in front of Vettel. Then it's the two Renaults, Gasly, the Racing Point, and the rest of the grid. Stroll is doing a decent job. I believe he did get a pretty good start. I don't remember where he started, but he's definitely gained some places, as the bottom three are just there, as Norris is some ways behind them, but he is going to get a massive undercut on them, so maybe he can catch up to them come the later stages of this race. Verstappen holding it in front of Bottas pretty well at the moment, but I do believe DRS is active this lap. Verstappen taking that defensive line. Here comes Valtteri Bottas down the straight, on board with Max. Bottas is on the outside. Can he make this work? On board with Hamilton. Bottas tries it, but he is stopped by Verstappen. Brilliant defending from Verstappen once again. Max goes defensive into this next corner. Bottas a little bit too far back. I don't know why Max went so defensive. And he does lose the back end again there. Looks like the Red Bull, just like preseason testing, not the most stable rear end, but they still have a ton of grip compared to the rest of the field. Onboard Leclerc has pulled a good gap to Albon. You can see Vettel actually had an overtaking opportunity on Albon, but he failed. Vettel clearly faster. Ricciardo has actually caught up to Sebastian Vettel and Alexander Albon. Daniel Ricciardo in his home race in brilliant P7. Renault were not expected to be this quick. But of course, Daniel Ricciardo is probably dragging that car up a little bit, although Ocon is also in P8, so not too sure what to say there. Ocon actually having a very good opening race of 2020. Verstappen's now actually pulling from Bottas. Bottas seems to be falling behind there into Lewis Hamilton. But you can see on these DRS straights, it's Red Bull. Teams Honda still haven't really figured out their power issues, or maybe Red Bull are just running too much drag in that car. It's completely unknown, but Red Bull are definitely struggling in a straight line. While Leclerc is just kind of holding back there, kind of waiting for Verstappen and Bottas to maybe make a mistake or have an accident, possibly. Verstappen, as you can see, he's taking that defensive line, and then he moves back out there. Bottas had DRS, but he's a little bit too far back this time. Verstappen seems to be really pulling that gap out now. But that DRS is what's holding Bottas there, as well as that Mercedes power unit seems to be even stronger in 2020 than it was in 2019. Albon is losing massive time to the top runners there. Maybe he's got a problem, or maybe he is underperforming. And for his sake, I would hope it's the latter. I mean, the first. Ricciardo holding it behind Vettel very well there. Ocon just kind of staying behind Ricciardo, not making any dangerous moves, as is Kvyat, who's actually dragged that car up very high. Sorry, not Kvyat, it's Gasly. On board of Kimi Räikkönen now. In front of Lance Stroll, I believe. And Norris still down in last place there, but here we are, back on board with Max Verstappen. Once again, Bottas just catches up. Even if it's a small straight, he just catches up. Even if there's no DRS, he just gets Max Verstappen. Now he's very close there, but it's just not enough. He might get him on the start-finish straight. Depends how good Verstappen is through these next corners. That Red Bull shoots this final sector, and Max has been very good all weekend through that final sector. He's at the fastest final sector in qualifying. As you can see, it seems to have worked. He's pulled away a bit, but no, Bottas comes back at him with the DRS. Will it be enough? No. As Verstappen actually, he does move twice on that straight, but I think he was a little bit too far in front of Bottas to really have that count as two moves on one straight. Now he comes on the back of Verstappen. He's just a bit too far back there, sparking away. And again, Verstappen struggling with the rear end out of turn 3. On board with Max now. Albon struggling. He's not pulling away from Vettel. And that's Perez actually dropping behind Sainz there. Kimi Räikkönen now alongside Lance Stroll, who was behind him, and Kimi barely stays in front there. There's a massive battle here to get in front of Kimi Räikkönen. All the bottom three of the Williams, the Haas, and the Williams are very close, but here goes Bottas round the outside. Is it going to work? We're going to actually go on a replay cam here. trying around the outside. Max outbrakes him. Now Bottas barges his way through. He gets in front. Verstappen's holding it along. I think this is where Bottas gets in front. But no, Max is going to try and hold it round the outside. Right around the outside of Valtteri Bottas. What a move by Max Verstappen. Late on the brakes and just carried so much speed. Used that Red Bull to the fullest. Here goes Giovinazzi. He's on the outside. Is he going to do what Max did? He's going to go alongside Kevin Magnussen. It's not going to work. K-Mag holding his ground very well there. He does actually give a bit of a squeeze to Giovinazzi. Gio might get him on the straight. Into the pits goes the front runners. Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas are in the pits currently. Which I do believe means Lewis Hamilton is leading this race. On board with Kimi Räikkönen now going through the grid. No, it's Albon, I believe, in P2. They're still defending very well from Vettel. I'm surprised he's been able to stay in front of Vettel this long. Vettel hasn't really mounted that big of an attack, but Albon's still done a pretty good job. And the Renault of Ocon has stayed out as Ricciardo got the favorable strategy. And there is Verstappen right in front of Bottas. On fresh tires, looks like this undercut might work for them because they are not in any kind of traffic of any sort, so they should come out in front of Lewis Hamilton. Here we go, on board with Charles Leclerc, who is stuck in traffic. He's behind the Williams of, I believe that's no, it's George Russell. And he's trying to catch up to the Mercedes and Red Bull. Look at that, he's going for it already. Down the inside, can he make this work? Yes, he does. Good move. I mean, it is on a Williams, but it has to be said that is a ballsy overtake by Charles Leclerc in the underperforming Ferrari. Aboard Lance Stroll, trying to catch up to, I believe that's Kimi Räikkönen. Here, into the pits goes the Renault of Esteban Ocon. And, of course, Vettel and Hamilton. And is that Verstappen? No, it's Albon. Albon has actually stayed out another lap there. Maybe he's trying to overcut Vettel? Not quite sure what strategy Albon's going on, but based off his pace, I don't think the overcut was the right strategy, but maybe Red Bull are trying something different. I want the fresher tires at the end of his stint. You can see here, now on board, is that Charles Leclerc going for it on Lewis Hamilton? No, he's not, actually much further back than it seemed. Looked like that undercut from Leclerc did give him a good chance to maybe overtake Hamilton, but he did get stuck behind that Williams. And that's Ricciardo stuck behind the Williams now. Sorry, no, Vettel is stuck behind the Haas now of Kevin Magnussen, I believe. As Grosjean is battling the bottom three of Latifi and Russell and himself, of course. Sorry, no, it is Grosjean. I don't know why I said Magnussen. We're on board with Vettel. He's trying to pass Magnussen. He's just a bit too far back. He couldn't make the move that Leclerc made. Here he goes to the outside with the DRS. Can he make this one work? It's gonna have to be a late move. He's on the outside and he's made it work. Sebastian Vettel, both Ferraris making some very important overtakes on the Haas cars. And that's Ocon. Esteban Ocon has actually caught up to his teammate Daniel Ricciardo in his home race because Ricciardo is stuck behind the Williams of, I believe that's Nicholas Latifi. Now into the pits goes the Williams. Is that Albon coming out? Yes, it is, and because Vettel was stuck behind the Haas, Roman Grosjean, Albon emerges in front of him. That is huge news. We're on board with Bottas, who's caught right back up to Verstappen. Verstappen has been under pressure from that very quick Mercedes all race, but he's been soaking it up very well at the moment. Has to be said. Going off track a little bit, Verstappen just about holding it in front of Bottas. Great driving by Max, has to be said, to get the lead of this race and then control that gap. After qualifying, that did leave him down in third place. It did seem like this was going to be a race of Mercedes domination, but here comes Bottas with the DRS. He's going to go for it. Verstappen squeezes him. Down the inside goes Bottas. He doesn't make it work. That was very close. He did actually get in front. We are actually going to back it up and go on the onboard of Bottas. You can see Verstappen did outbrake it, but that Bottas just held it on the inside. He didn't want to push Max wide. Max held it on the outside brilliantly. It was a close braking battle and then a close battle through the apex, but Max held his ground very well. Great defending by Verstappen. He's not pushing everyone off track, as his reputation seems to make it seem. He's hard but fair defending by Max Verstappen. On board with Sergio Perez is in front of Carlos Sainz Jr. at the moment in the McLaren. You can see Bottas, he's got the DRS, he's just a bit too far back. He's pretty much activated DRS in every single zone he could, as he's been behind Verstappen for literally the entire race. Here it comes. Albon's on the hards, and that means Vettel's all over behind him. Albon locks up. It's not that big of a lockup, so Vettel can't get past, but I don't doubt Vettel will overtake. Given that Albon is on those hard tires. Unlike his teammates, I really don't know why Albon's gone with that strategy, but I guess he was worried about tire wear or something, because he did go for the overcut, so I'm very confused with Alexander Albon's strategy, but Red Bull seem to know what they're doing. Is that Charles Leclerc down there behind the Haas? And he's on the soft tire, which means, yes, Leclerc must have had an accident earlier in this race after his pit stop, which means he did have to come into the pits, and now he's on fresh tires to come back through the field. But as a horrible result for him, because he was doing a very good job keeping up with the Mercedes and Red Bull of Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas. That's really too bad for him, but he's on the soft tires. He's going to push his heart out in that Ferrari. Either way, Verstappen, not a great exit there. We can see Bottas coming right up behind Verstappen. Verstappen moving very aggressively there, has to be said. I don't think Bottas is going to like that. Might possibly be complaining on the radio, but either way, I don't know if he's complaining on the radio because he's going for it. He's actually made the overtake work. Verstappen's late on the brakes. He's going to squeeze Bottas. No, he's not going to squeeze him. Bottas going to come back down the inside. Verstappen holds it on the outside. Max is going to have the inside line for the next corner. Bottas is going to try to switch back. It's not going to work, but look at the speed he's caught from that corner. He's going to go side by side. Max late on the brakes. Once again, can Bottas come back at him now with that powerful Mercedes engine? Max is going to go defensive. Bottas can't make that overtake work. Oh, he's going to try it. It's not enough. It's very close from Bottas, though. He's really trying to overtake Max, because I think he believes if he can get in front of Max, he will win this race. There's Vettel kind of in no man's land at the moment. And I can't believe my eyes. Both Renaults and Vettel have overtaken Albon. A horrible strategy. Maybe he even has a car problem, as both Renaults have overtaken him too. Renaults have a great outing here in Australia after a pretty dismal 2019 season. But it has to be said, their 2020 car seems to be much quicker. Here's Verstappen holding it in front of Bottas. Very well. Here we go. Bottas has the DRS. He's very close to Verstappen now. He's close to him, but it's just not quite close enough. Max has just got that gap to him. Hamilton's pretty much in no man's land. He hasn't really been able to catch up to them. Vettel's just chilling in P4 in front of Ricardo, Ocon, and then Albon. Can't believe Albon is having such a horrible race. Bad strategy call, and just not very quick driving. I do believe he does have a car problem, though. And now we can see Leclerc really just struggling. I mean, he's pulled away from those back markers very well, but he just can't catch up. Is that yellow flags? We see that as Pierre Gasly out of the race. That is horrible for Pierre. He was having a very good outing. He was actually going to get points today, as he was, I believe, behind the Renaults. But that is very unfortunate for him. Looks like Max is starting to pull that gap on Bottas. Again, Bottas just closes up with the DRS. That must be so frustrating for Max, as he's just trying to pull away. If he can get out of that DRS, he will be able to beat Bottas, but the lack of straight line speed is making him struggle. He does lose the back end a tiny bit through the penultimate corner, now onto the long straight. Bottas can have the DRS. He's not quite close enough, is he? And he's just a little bit too far back, but on the second straight, coming into turn 3, I don't believe he was close enough to make a move, as we are on board with the Renaults now, and then Albon disappointingly down in P8, I believe. So we continue. Verstappen has actually pulled a good gap on Bottas. You can see he's really pulling in those corners now. He's pushing that car to the max. He needs to get out of that DRS to get that pressure off him. He's been dealing with the pressure brilliantly throughout this race. Hamilton is catching up, but not very quickly. He just doesn't seem to have the pace at Australia that Verstappen and Bottas have shown, and they have been on another level today. You can see Ricciardo's and Ocon pulling away from Albon there. Sainz can't pass Perez there. Go on board with the rest of the field there. Norris is down, still on last. That is very unfortunate for him, but he is still pushing. He's not giving up. Those Williams are not very quick this season, so he's going to give it everything he's got. Really have started to pull. Here he comes into turn one. He is actually really pulling from Bottas. Could this be it? Could this be where Verstappen pulls out of the DRS? Bottas still trying. And you can see just out of those two straights, he just closed down what looked to be about an 8/10 gap. And he's just closed that down with the DRS. Of course, if F1 did not have DRS, I don't think there'd be any overtaking at all. So we are happy to have that tool in Formula 1. You can see Max is pulling away those corners though. He's really driving the wheels off that Red Bull today, given where Albon is. Even if Albon was on the mediums, I do not believe he would be anywhere near Max. Oh! Verstappen's made a mistake. He lost the back end there. That's got Bottas on his back. Now who's going to be later on the brakes? It's going to be Verstappen, who defends brilliantly. That's Kevin Magnussen off track there. Kevin Magnussen has retired from this race. On board with Max now, after that big mistake that nearly ended his race. He is still holding P1. Seems the pressure might start getting to him a little bit here. But he's doing a good job of holding Bottas off. Once again, Bottas just catching up with that DRS. That must be so frustrating for Max. Every time he pulls away, the DRS is just allowing Bottas to catch right back up. See Bottas catching up on those straights with the slipstream and the powerful Mercedes engine. He's right up behind Verstappen now. But it's just not enough. Do the quick left to right. Verstappen does pull away a little bit, of course. There is some level of dirty air there that Bottas does have to deal with, as well as the Red Bull being just stunning through the corners. It is spectacular. Here we are. Verstappen makes a mistake. This is the final lap of the race. Makes a small mistake there in the second last corner. Here he comes up to the line. Bottas is trying. It's not enough. Max Verstappen, in the opening round of the 2020 season, has won. Lance Stroll gets driver of the day after a strong drive from him as well.
Another superb Australian Grand Prix comes to an end, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here.